I feel like rather than blaming the government or an invisible group of people, we can actually simplify it and say, maybe the problem is actually spiritual, and some of those forces live within ourselves.
If you gaze into the abyss long enough, you see the light, not the darkness.
Are you sure about that?
I'm betting my life on it.
Hey guys, it's Andrea here. Today I'd like to talk about the importance of facing your pain and your darkness head on, and how the comforts of the modern world make it easier than ever to avoid that darkness. To share a little bit about why this has been on my mind lately, this week I had a very brutal and stark realization that as much as I am somebody who prides myself in avoiding vices, I'm somebody who lives a sober life. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. I'm pretty disciplined and dedicated to my fitness regimen. So I'm somebody who thought I was facing a lot of life's difficult things head on. But after taking a really good, honest look at my life and realizing that a big theme lately in my life has been feeling completely overwhelmed with tasks and like I don't have enough time in my day to fulfill the desires and the dreams I have as a human being on this earth, I had to take a good, honest look at myself and figure out where all my free time was going. And I was forced to face the reality that while I thought I was a strong person who was dedicated to pursuing my dreams without distractions, that I was spending an insane amount of hours on my phone every day. And my vice right now is my addiction to my cell phone. After having this realization, I made a commitment this past week to reduce my screen time immensely. And by the way, I'm not sponsored by this, but just to share what I did personally, I downloaded an app called Opal. The app is $20 a month. And to me, it has been well worth it because I have learned this week that I am not strong enough to put the phone down by myself. But that aside, and back to the topic of this video, when I had made the commitment this past week to spend far less time on my phone, I noticed something really interesting coming up. What I noticed was there was an immense amount of anger trapped inside of my body that I didn't even know existed because I was using the phone as a numbing agent to hide or ignore that pain. And this realization begs the question, how dangerous is it for us as individuals that our modern society makes it so easy to avoid what's going on within ourselves? Should we be actively facing this pain head on every single day? Or is having these distractions helping us in some kind of way? I want to share with you guys a clip that includes Jordan Peterson and Lex Fridman. It's an appearance of Jordan Peterson on the Lex Fridman podcast. And essentially in this clip, they are arguing this point. Lex Fridman is taking the stance that looking at your pain too closely can be a dangerous thing. And Jordan Peterson is taking the stance that, but facing your pain head on is the only way to transform yourself. I want to share this clip with you guys and then talk about some of my thoughts of it after. And just a quick heads up, this is an older clip from maybe 3 years ago at this point, but it's a very powerful episode and I still go back and listen to it from time to time. But here we go. Let's take a look at this clip.
But also maybe anger hardens your mind to where you don't notice the subtle, quiet beauty of the world. The quiet love that's always there, that permeates everything. Sometimes you can become deeply cynical about the world if it's the Nietzsche thing.
Yeah.
Battle not with monsters, lest ye become a monster.
Yeah.
And if you gaze into the abyss gazes also into you.
Right. But I would say, bring it on. Right? Because that's why I also say, knowing that he's absolutely right, but if you gaze into the abyss long enough, you see the light, not the darkness.
Are you sure about that?
I'm betting my life on it.
I love this clip. It's such a powerful moment when he says, "Are you sure about that?" He says, "I'm betting my life on it." So this clip is very important to me. And like I said, I refer back to this episode a lot because it's a question that I've been trying to answer for years now, and I think I'm finally getting closer to the answer to that question. And this is an ever-evolving question for me to answer, but right now where it stands, I am in agreement with Jordan Peterson that I think facing your pain head on is absolutely essential for transformation. And I'm going to refer back to a relationship that I was in the past, several years ago, in which I actually shared this clip with him. And that partner and I faced our pain very differently. That partner was more avoidant with his pain, and he was somebody who had a lot of internal struggles and had a lot of mental health issues, but his philosophy was more of an absurdist minded philosophy, not a nihilist, but absurdist in the sense that he thought there was really no way to solve life's complexities, life's pain, life's mysteries. He basically accepted life is full of pain, life is full of suffering. So why sit and stew over it and try to figure out? Just move on and distract yourself. And he's somebody who used a lot of distracting mechanisms. He was addicted to video games. He was addicted to pornography. He smoked cigarettes. He smoked a lot of weed. And by the way, I have nothing against weed, but I think when somebody's doing it all day long, it says something different. It's not so much a way to loosen up, but more so an avoidant mechanism. And at the time that I was dating this person, I was spending a lot of time thinking about the things that were hurting me and the things that were causing me to suffer. I was in therapy trying to handle these things. I was reading philosophy books. I was searching for answers. I was listening to podcasts like this. And the difference in contrast of where he was at and where I was at the time was he was able to function on a day-to-day basis with his comfort mechanisms that he was using to deal with his pain. But he often complained about not making any great transformations in his life. At the time, when I was facing a lot of my stuff head on, like I said, I was suffering to the point where I was feeling so much pain that there were times where I had suicidal ideations, and it felt unbearable at times. But looking back at where our lives branched out to, I truly feel that by going through that very dark period of my life, that I was able to transform parts of myself that I would have never been able to do unless I went through that period of immense suffering. Dark night of the soul, if anybody has heard of that. Dark night of the soul is when your soul has to go through this dark period in order to transform and come out on the other side. And here's the thing. If you choose to numb out for a very long period of time and never take the time to face what's actually going on underneath all those numbing agents, you're not really living. You might be getting by, you might be surviving, but to me, the difference is, yes, for me to deal with what was going on inside my psyche in such an intense way, it did almost kill me. It brought me to the brink of suicide. It brought me to the brink of hopelessness. But on the other end of that, I feel like a lot of those other people who say, I'm not going to do that. Let me just use some of these vices to help me get by on a day-to-day. They're dying slowly. You know what I mean? Using a certain amount of vices is going to hurt your health to a degree where you're not really becoming the full potential of yourself. Because numbing that pain and all that energy doesn't make it disappear. It just makes it leak out into your life in different ways. So I think it's almost worth it just to rip the Band-Aid off and to dive right in. And yes, it could almost kill you. Yes, it is painful. I have to tell you, this past week where I realized that I was using my phone as a coping mechanism without even realizing it, because these things are programmed to keep us hooked on it. And side note about that too, in the past, I've sort of had a conspiracy mindset about that, as if there's this evil cabal of forces at play with mustaches all getting together at a meeting table in the sky, like in Austin Powers. And they're trying to figure out how to keep us hooked to our phones. But I'm starting to take a step back from that mindset and realize, while some degree of that is true, I think the evil forces at play are possibly a little more simple than that. I think those evil forces are just greed. I think these people on the other end of the phone just want to make money. But I think also those evil forces exist within ourselves too. We are also part of that conspiracy. The evil force within ourselves is the force of laziness, is the force of procrastination, is the force of comfort seeking. I feel like rather than blaming the government or an invisible group of people, we can actually simplify it and say, maybe the problem is actually spiritual, and maybe spiritual demonic forces are taking over people, and some of those forces live within ourselves. So rather than trying to battle some invisible group of unknown people, we can actually look within ourselves and find the spirit in ourselves that is holding us back, and not always look outward to blame the outside forces. We have control over those inside forces. All that to say, I think it's very important to identify the weaknesses within ourselves and to try to face them. And like I said, this is a very human experience. I think all human beings deal with weakness and limitations in their own way. And I'm no different. Like I said earlier, I really thought I was facing and battling all my demons, and really, I am so hooked to my phone. It's ridiculous. I mean, just to share a little bit of some of my behaviors, when I really analyze it, it's insane and it's embarrassing. I'm somebody who's obsessed with checking who watches my stories on Instagram. And I know I can't be the only one who does that, because that exists for a reason. It exists because whoever designed these phones knows that we are selfish by nature. We are selfish human beings by nature, and we care about what other people think of us. So a lot of times I'll be checking my stories. Did this ex-boyfriend look at my story, or did so-and-so look at my story? And when I really take a step back and look at myself from the outside, it's embarrassing. It's self-serving. It's stupid. So I think as humans, we ought to take responsibility for those behaviors, and rather than blaming the outside forces, we can work on the forces that are inside of us. So I know right now I have a lot of changes to make in my life in terms of how I spend my time, because as I said earlier, I always complain that there's no free time, but there's no free time because I'm wasting my own time by giving in to too many of these little daily impulses to check my phone. And I know by doing that, I'm only hurting myself, because every little time I give into that dopamine hit, I'm avoiding whatever pain lives within inside me that I need to deal with. This week, by deducting my screen time by a lot, I learned that I have a lot of anger and resentment living inside me that I didn't know was there, because I was hiding behind the dopamine hits of using Instagram. So anyway, that's all I have to say for today. I'm really curious about the listeners' input. So if there's anything you want to say, please drop it in the comment section. If you have any insight, anything to add, if you want to point out any blind spots in my thinking where you think I got something wrong, I'm open to discussion. So drop it in the comment section below. And that's it. Have a good day, guys. Bye. Hey guys, I just wanted to take a second to let my listeners know that I offer virtual piano lessons. I have many students of different ages, from child to adult, and of all different levels, from beginning, intermediate to advanced. Many of my virtual piano students have been with me for years, and they find that learning virtually is just as easy as learning in person. If you're interested in booking a trial lesson with me, you can reach out to me on Instagram, Pranzata, Pranzata, and shoot me a DM, or you can reach out to me on email as well, pranzata@gmail.com. pranzata@gmail.com. Also, if you've enjoyed this video today, please don't forget to hit subscribe. It is incredibly difficult to grow a YouTube channel in the modern day. However, I feel determined to do so, and every single subscriber helps more than you could possibly know help me build this channel.